Hi there, this is Andrea, and this is the Mainstream Reiki YouTube channel. This is the second part of Courtney's question this week. If you missed last week's question from her, it had to do with how do we know when we get intuitive guidance in a session if it's from us or if it's really genuine. And you can find that video up top. I'll put a link right up there for you. This week's question from her, this was her second question, and it is all about receiving more intuitive guidance in a session. How do you get intuitive guidance in a session? All I can do is share with you what I have found works for me, what I tell my Reiki students, and that is ask questions. I enter every session with a beginner's mind, and what I mean by that is I don't really take anything for granted. And even in the first few minutes of a Reiki session, I might discuss different things with my client. And that might be different. They might have medical issues or something like that. They might tell me that kind of thing. They might tell me I feel really blocked at my heart chakra. You get any variety of, things come up in a session. But I have to tell you, when I walk over to the Reiki table and I'm ready to start my session with them, I pretty much take all of that and set it to the side. And I look at this client, this person on my table, just as a clean slate. I try not to have any preconceived ideas whatsoever. As I begin my session, I'm usually seated at the head of the table, and their head is here, their feet extend away from me. And I begin to have my Reiki flow, as you might have your way to do that. So anyway, I just get started. And as I'm putting my hands at the crown of their head, that's generally where I start with each client. But as I'm placing my hands there, intending the Reiki to help them for their highest good, in my mind, I'm asking, what's here? What's here for me to see? What's here for me to know? I might say, in my mind, who is this person? What is here? So as I do that, I'll get images. I'll see different things. I might hear things, things start coming like that for me. But here's the thing. I not only ask questions there when I get started. Let's say that I see a scene come up. And what I've learned in my own practice, which might be very different for you, but all I can really do is share my experience. But as I see an image come up, then I ask more questions about it. And then I receive those answers. And that's how I really fill in the blanks and can give a complete account, a whole type of idea or concept back to my client at the end of the session. Because I follow up with more and more questions, I get a fuller, more solid, complete impression, which I find that really important because I've had sessions where I was the client and I've received information from the practitioner that seemed very one-dimensional, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me at all. And I don't ever want to offer that sort of information to my clients. I want to really give them a rich, complete, and meaningful bit of insight. Why do questions even work? Well, I don't know, but here's my theory. Imagine an apple. Imagine you had an apple and you cut it in half, and you took this half. This other half of the apple exists. There's nothing that you can do to make the other half of the apple not exist, right? This is how I look at questions and answers. I believe with every fiber of my being that a question, if we can think up a question, the answer exists. One cannot exist without the other. They go together. And so when I ask a question, I am energetically activating the answer, wherever that may live in the universe. So my question is energy being broadcast. I am inquiring energetically. Wherever the answer is, it starts to activate. And I am in a receptive mode during a Reiki session, and so I receive the answer back. We've all really done this in our own lives. And I'll give you a quick example just from everyday life. Maybe you hear a song and you're not sure who the artist is who does the song. And you're like, oh, what's the name of that band? I can't remember the name of that band, or what's the name of that guy, whatever it is. But you're asking yourself this question and you've got emotion in it. You want to know, it's kind of bugging you. And, then something happens and you quit thinking about it. You go about your day, and maybe the next day goes by, and maybe the next, maybe it's quick, who knows? But all of a sudden you get the answer. It might be somebody that says, oh yeah, I've got concert tickets. We're going to go see whoever, and oh, that's the guy, that's the band who does that song, whatever it is. But I'm sure you can think of an example of when you asked a question like that and you were stumped, and then the universe conspired to then bring you the answer. And you got it. You got it. You activated that answer when you asked the question, and then you received the answer. So that's really all I'm doing in my Reiki sessions is I'm asking and I'm receiving, asking and receiving, and getting that information, making a more complete picture. And if you want to look it up, we could explain it as quantum entanglement. That is explained in physics. So quantum entanglement, because two things can be in relation. They have a relationship together, and we're talking about energy here. So ask your question, be in reception mode, and accept that answer as it comes to you. Another little bit of advice I have for you is I mentioned this beginner's mind. Have that beginner's mind. Have a blank slate. Please don't reach for information, reach for insights. Please don't fill in the blanks from your own mind because you desperately want to get insights. Be okay if nothing comes through. Because if you have a real strong desire to get stuff from your client, you're going to be more willing to be influenced by your own fears, perhaps, by your own impressions of the person, prior knowledge, maybe, if you know anything about them, or if you've talked before the session. You just don't want any influences. The only thing you really want to do is tune into your client and see what's there. Ask questions, fill in the blanks that way, and know that your worth as a Reiki practitioner is not decided on how much intuitive information you get. At the very least, you are giving Reiki energy, which is a huge deal. So just exhale and allow what comes to come, and know that if a little comes through or a lot comes through, whatever that is, it's not a reflection on you and your value as a practitioner. What I found is sometimes clients come in and I could write a novel, from everything that comes up in the session. Other clients come in and it might be a short story, but there are a lot of factors that might influence that outside of our own abilities. So please don't take it too personally if you get only a little about a person. Some people don't want to share that much. And if they have that intention to be private, a lot is not going to come through in the session. It isn't only about us, and what we want to have occur in the session. So please keep that in mind. Just as we meet people in our lives and they might talk our ear off, and have so much to say, and then we meet another person and they're a person of very few words, the energy can be like that as well. So always, always, always remember that. And really just to clarify, I told you how I start and I ask the question there. I keep asking questions until I feel that I have a complete picture. As I move from there to other locations around their body, I just do the same thing. I also incorporate Biosen scanning to help me know where to go with my hands. And then when I arrive at that location, then I'm asking, what's here? Why was I led here, kind of thing. And I intend to learn about why that is. I ask the questions and receive the answers, just like I described earlier. What I do now at the end of my distance sessions is I ask at the end of the session, in my mind again, if there is a message for my client. And I have a pad of paper and I just write all of that down as it comes through. And I don't change any of that at all. I don't ask questions about that. I just dictate that and then I read it back to the client at the end. But I want to share that with you because that's another way I'm using my intuition in my session that's a little bit different. So it isn't about hand placements or what's necessarily going on at any location in or around their body. It's a unique message that I'm receiving and then delivering. And I guess lastly, what I would say is if you want to make sure you're getting, all the intuitive guidance that you can, all the intuitive messages that you can during a session, again, ask a question, receive the answer. If you find that you might imagine you're pretty engaged with the client using my method here. Practitioners will often ask, what are you thinking about during a session? Well, I'm busy. I'm asking all these questions. I'm, recording all this in my mind so I can say it back to them at the end of the session. And that keeps me pretty focused on my client. If you aren't asking questions, if you're just doing hand placements, it's really easy for your mind to wander. So if you're trying to receive more intuitive information, try asking questions. Try noticing if your mind is wandering. And then get your mind back on the client, begin asking those questions. I do want to make a quick mention, symbols, we might see a symbol, and I would caution you to not begin to make definitions about what a symbol means, because from one client to the next, what I found is I might see the same symbol up here, I might get the same visual, but it has very different meanings for that client. So please never assume just because you see similar things between, client A and client B, please don't assume that it has the same meaning. Ask, because each and every client is unique and complex. And I know for me, I always want to give each client the benefit of the doubt as far as being completely unique. So I want to give them my full personal attention and never take anything for granted that I might think I know from a previous session, either with them or with someone else. And that's really what I meant earlier when I mentioned beginner's mind. Always have a beginner's mind, an inquiring mind, and a wondering mind. And for me, that has really just been the foundation of my intuitive evolution when I work with my clients. I hope what I've said has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Consider subscribing if you like the content here on the channel. That way I know that you're interested in more videos. I sure thank you for watching, and I wish you the highest blessings.